And of course, we are heading into Lijiang Tower to start things out. The other control map this season that we'll be playing first will be Oasis. Not this week, but next week, which means that you won't have to see Fusion University on map 5 to catch them at Oasis, where they were undefeated on last season because they didn't lose any of those map 5s.
Yeah, they were just the kings of Oasis. Fusion University now, it doesn't look like they want to run a Pharah here. Who Are You can play it, but it looks like he's currently hovering over the Tracer on the opposite end. This is kind of what we're expecting out of second win, right? The Widowmaker along with that Pharah. Pharah is so strong on this map, so we'll see. Can Zachary deal with Zaxel?
And that's really going to be the crux of it, where second win, they rely so much on Zaxel to be their heart that Zaxel, if he's taken down by Zachary, really going to hurt second win's chances here.
All right, so Who Are You already on the points with that Tracer now, making the flank onto the Winston. Try and pepper him down, but he does have to contest with that barrier now. The Pharah, Zaxel still trying to pepper them with the rockets, but not real much damage coming across.
Fusion University took positioning here early. They got in early, and Zachary finds Zaxel immediately, and that's what they're looking for, right? Where second win, they plan everything around Zaxel, but they don't have a plan for Zachary right now. Gets the early 2 pickoffs, and that should be more than enough for Fusion University to very easily take this first point.
The point has unlocked, suppose, along with Elk, able to bring up their Winstons, but it's Zachary continuing. And when do you get to talk about this, right? Fusion University, they have 2 different looks, offline and online. The last time we saw them was offline, and it was Who Are You that was the absolute animal, Lanimal slaying everybody, but it was Zachary who got them here with his online play.
And unknown for Zachary, like his Widowmaker was kind of middle of the pack last year. He was more known for really good Tracer play, but this is one of those compositions where they feel better putting Who Are You on the Tracer, leaving Zachary on the Widow, and now Recon side up, tries to get the other Widow, not gonna go for it, but second win, they're holding really far back. While they're not engaging, time is ticking down, and Zachary looking for the pickoffs as second win decides to engage pretty heavily now with this Valkyrie.
Trance is gonna be used by second win here, and they haven't even crossed the bridge yet. Beast Halo is in the back, pops that Primal Rage, but it's Shadows finally taking the 1v1 up against Zachary. Instantly traded away by Bernard as Elk brings Zachary back into this now, and it looks like Fusion University, they've got the man advantage. Zaxel not able to find anything with this far quite yet, but here comes the barrage! Instantly Trance, he gets one, gets the mech, and with the help of Janitor, will clean up Bernard.
That's going to be enough for second wind, perhaps, where now the momentum of the fight going the other way. Zaxel still very much in the fight, takes down Beast Halo, and second wind going to be getting back onto the point. They recapture it, but it's a long way to go. Fusion University getting 62% on that first strike.
Now, taking a look at the ultimates, it's going to be a while before Fusion University really have the tools to try and take this back, especially after losing that cooldown on the Mercy. The Resurrection is used to bring Zachary back into this. So now it's 2 for 1 in that Widow versus Widow battle in favor of Shadows.
Well, that's a key point because that's been going better for Shadows. Zachary's been less of a threat. And Beast Halo went in too early, taken down by Janitor immediately. But now it's a bit of a 5v5 situation here. However, they're not able to finish a kill on Zaxel. Zaxel comes back up, and second win is totally fine. Now, this is where Fusion University starts bringing fights back. We talked about beforehand where Beast Halo dies early, suddenly Who Are You starts going off, and second win, they've been pushed thoroughly off the point. They're not able to stay on it.
That was a great play coming out from Fusion University. After they got that pick onto Zaxel, they go ahead and throw the D.Va self-destruct, Bernard self-destruct into this to try and cover it. Luckily for second, when they were able to find the Resurrection, an angle where it was safe to do so, but because they were zoned so much out, Fusion University were just able to step on it, maintain control, and now it might be coming down to this final fight. Fusion University, they've got the Valkyrie to work with. It's second win, though, who has the power advantage.
Second win, I mean, a lot is going to be coming down to the Transcendence early. As Fluffy gets Who Are You on the other side. They deal with the aggression. He's not in a great resible position to be a risk. It was Zachary going down the other side. It's Fluffy with 3 kills for second win. And that is so powerful in Overwatch when you can rely on your Zenyatta to do that in the moment. Second win, getting their second win, not out of here just yet.
Overtime ticking away, but second win will keep this map alive, but there's no more room for error for them. Luckily, they do have stall tools in the Primal Rage along with the self-destruct here, but Fusion University are really about to crest in power now as they got, of course, their own Primal Rage, self-destruct. Who Are You coming up with the Pulse Bomb? Alarms even got that Transcendence now.
One thing that's worth noting is that it's been a quiet game for Alarm so far. We haven't seen Alarm too much in the way of pickoff, certainly not what we saw from Flubby a moment ago. Second win, though. They can't give up the point no matter what. Who are you? Playing the Tracer dance here on the opposite side, while the rest of his team going straight in up the gut, and they lose Shadows immediately for second win. Fusion University, they're just going to move in here, but Alarm got knocked off. It still shouldn't matter too much. Fusion University, with a man advantage, they should be able to retake the point.
That was just beautiful play coming out from Fusion University, despite the heroics out from Flubby. He just wasn't able to continue on with that Zenyatta fragging out with him. And so, 87% ticks away, no overtime now. Will anyone be able to make it onto the point? They do with the Winston now, but Ginger instantly focused down. He doesn't have the primal, he gets burned.
Here's the problem, second win, they're gonna be staggering in as much as they want, but if they get any form of momentum, Alarm can shut it down with the Transcendence there. Shadows takes one right to the dome, and Fusion University well on their way to taking this first round. But no, Alarm did get picked off by Flubby. It just won't matter because the rest of Fusion University is cleaning out people so efficiently. Two things, though, that come out to mind for me. A, Fusion University still playing pretty well overall. Not the best game for Alarm, dying with Transcendence twice, and also just not getting a lot of pickoffs compared to what we've seen from him before.
I feel like this might be just a difference in kind of like how the communication works on the team now, because of course before you had Kraken Lacken who spoke English, and now you're throwing in another Korean speaker in Bernard. I'm not too sure, you know, how good his English is, if he's able to communicate in that, but swapping in between English and Korean might be a little bit more difficult for Alarm also, you know, ping issues, all this other stuff. Second win though, Shadows. He had a pretty decent Widow game, was able to take the 1v1 up against Zachary, but one of the bigger issues is that Zaxel, he was on that Pharah, so Shadows wasn't receiving as much of a pocket as Zachary was with that Mercy.
One thing that's going to be interesting here is that the way this match, or this particular stage works, is that Pharahs have a lot more room to work with, way more areas to hide from Widowmaker, so Zachary's challenge in dealing with Zaxel will be more difficult, even as he's dealing with Shadows at the same time. Zachary going to the right side, and you see, as soon as he peeks, takes a rocket, it's harder to focus a Pharah on this map.
Yeah, so I mean, we have completely mirrored compositions here. Who Are You now is on the Pharah himself, but it's Zaxel that's out poking him. So that allows second win to actually get positioned on the point here, but Zachary once again starts it off. Zaxel's gone, Alarm takes out his counterpart, and just like that, Fusion University flip it in their favor, and they'll take control of the point first.
I like to think Alarm heard us on some level. It's like, hey, Alarm having a slower start. It's like, oh, let me kill 2 people towards the end of this fight.
I'm here,
Are you happy now? It's like, yeah, I'm a little bit happier. Well done.
So with that, though, Alarm and Flubby, they're still, you know, roughly the same ultimate charge, barely in the favor of Alarm here. So I mean, Flubby is doing damage, is getting some good heals off. We'll see though. It's gonna come down to here, Shadows. He needs to land something. Oh, Alarm's already picked off Ginger.
Ginger's down immediately, and Fusion, they're doing pretty well at disengaging. Beast Halo took a lot of early damage there, was able to get on out, and Zachary just puts the cherry on top directly into Shadows at the very end. It's gonna be second wind, holding their tails and running back to spawn.
One of the issues I see with like the Pharah Widow composition is that it's a little bit more difficult to follow up on any kind of poke damage that the Pharah gets a cost. So if you take a look at the ultimate charge between Who Are You and Zaxel, there's about a 30% difference. That means Zaxel's out damaging him, but nothing's resulting from it. No one's finishing off the low targets here. And now Zachary in a 1v1. Never mind, we've got Beast Halo interrupting that. And with the help, he will be able to finish him off, but he has to be careful.
Already second win in bit trouble. Zaxel goes for the barrage on the opposite side, gets Who Are You from it, but it's at a cost, right? Alarm was right there to punish it. The resurrection is there. Nothing good has actually come of that engagement right now for second wind, and they're gonna be down to their final engagement here in just a moment. 74% for Fusion University. Second wind heading to their last life, but they do have a Transcendence. The problem is, so does Fusion.
Yeah, we'll see. This is such a difficult retake here. It's going to come down to Ginger, really, with this Primal Rage, trying to get some environmental kills, but there's so many targets that just don't fall, right? You've got the Pharah, you've got the D.Va, the Winston, along with the Widowmaker, who's got the grapple. So a lot of them are safe to that Primal Rage. They don't really have to worry now. Who Are You? Spots out the flank. Here comes Ginger with the Primal Rage, but he's being absolutely controlled now. Who Are You on the outside, peppering away at them as Transcendence is popped by the side of Fusion University.
Zachary down early in the fight does Who Are You? Explodes, the barrage takes 2, but Janitor cleans up on the other side. Gets 2 off that last moment self-destruct, and Second Wind making a little bit of sense out of the chaos right here. They might be down their mercy, but it's Burnar zoning out the point. They have to get back in. They have a slight man advantage, and with Burnar out of the fight, Second Wind is going to retake, but it's a long road back.
That was really close. Burnar was trying his best. You saw at the end of that fight, trying to get rid of that Winston barrier for his self-destruct. The re-engage comes out, but Beast Halo gets punished for that trade as Who Are You comes on in with that tracer. Now he's swapped off. Zaxel is gone. Who Are You with 5 HP is going to be able to recall, tries to get this res. No, he'll be able to stick it, we'll suppose, but he gets that trade, taking out Shadows.
This is where Who Are You wants to be. He was able to come in off the flank. Who Are You loves these low number situations where he can come in on the other side, take down 2 or 3. He's fine in trades. This is where he's been really good at. Elk even piling into the fray. And Fusion University, off of one pick, leading into another. Going to be cleaning up Second Wind here in overtime. And Second Wind, they can struggle all they want here at this point, but this is looking like Fusion University has taken them to school here as they take the first map on Lijiang Tower.
A lot more fight in Second Wind than I was expecting. But, you know, we really didn't get to see the Zaxel that you had hoped that we would see. And it might just be, you know, online nerves, who knows. But right now, it was mostly Shadows who was doing a lot of the damage for them on the side of Second Wind.
Oh boy, I mean, it looked like Second Wind had a small chance there at the very end, but yikes, I wasn't expecting it to be that much of an overtake. But they fought hard, Who do you think we should really keep an eye on to maybe pull it back for Second Wind, if you think it's possible?
Well, 2 things. I still think it's Zaxel, given what we've seen from him previously, even though Zachary did a phenomenal job at keeping him in check. The second thing would be Flubby, where Flubby did have that moment where it's like, wait, there's a Zenyatta that just took down 3 people, and his name wasn't Alarm, where if you're the guest who would be doing that early on, it would be Alarm. So Flubby actually had a decent showing. Was it a flash in the pan, or could it be something more? Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I'm not leaving the blame on Zaxel's doorstep there, right? I mean, I had mentioned it. Playing that far without the follow-up damage, without a tracer there to follow your rockets, it's difficult to try and get those kills and convert upon them, and they just weren't able to do that at all. There was kind of a disconnect in that composition. You either need your Winston or your Diva to go a bit more aggressive anytime you land a rocket, and it's just like they weren't able to do that. So we'll see. Maybe they need kind of adjustment in the mindset of the tank line, Second Wind.
All right, can we talk a little bit about Zachary on the Widowmaker, though? That was some impressive play. Where does that kind of skill come from? Is this normal for him? Do we usually see this? What are you guys' takes?
Well, Zachary in general has been more of a hit scan specialist his entire career. I would say if you look to last season, he was a middle-of-the-pack Widowmaker, but a very good tracer. However, his Widow did look a little bit better here. It's hard to say how much of that was Shadows failing to check him or how much was Zachary hitting the hyperbolic time chamber of sorts, but it's a good look for him so far.
I mean, it's as the tank line, it's so difficult to get onto a Widowmaker. So if Ginger even tries to jump in with that Winston, well, you know, you just grapple away and your cooldown's gone, and now you're in the middle of the entire Fusion University team. It's very difficult to try and keep, of course, Zachary in check, and especially when he's receiving such a hard pocket from his Mercy, right? You saw he was getting the damage boost, and so the tanks, they were kept honest that entire time. You don't have to, like, kill them outright. Just do enough damage to them, and the tanks can't push forward.
Well, and speaking of tanks, too, I mean, credit where credit's due, Beast Halo wasn't dying first very often, and that was sort of an Achilles heel of Fusion University in the last season. So the fact that Beast Halo came out, contained himself, got out at a lot of fights, about 30–40% HP, that was an improvement from him from what we were used to just a few months ago.
And in this round, do you think that Who Are You was performing well enough, was doing his job?
I mean, we saw throughout the regular season of Contenders Season 1 that he was a little bit of a slow starter, and, you know, the server really was dependent upon their performance, and so it looks like maybe he is getting a good server. Maybe they're on the West Coast here, but we're not seeing LAN Who Are You, right? Especially when that's the last time you saw him, where he's just going absolutely off on the Genji, on the Tracer, and everything else. It's not the same performance we're seeing, but this is what we were expecting to see off the online play.
Right. Well, I think it's about time that we start talking about our next map coming up, and I'm pretty stoked to see this. So what do you think that there is something that Second Wind can do to really prove themselves coming up on the next map, or?
I mean, I would say the ball is more in Fusion's court here, where Fusion University is expected to win. If Second Wind even takes a map, it looks better for them. It's going to be a long season. They're up against one of the juggernauts of the scene. I don't look at this with Second Wind and go, oh, Fusion University won all 4 maps against you. You know, it's all over for you. This is really day one, so I would say overall I still heavily favor Fusion University, but Second Wind, I mean, we'll see. We haven't seen as much from them on the other maps here just yet. Right. And as we head to King's Row, that can offer a pretty big change of playstyle, especially as you look to run more heroes such as Reinhardt.
Reinhardt, Zarya's, Hanzo's. I mean, that is definitely going to have to come into play here. I want to see who's actually going to be playing the Hanzo if they do run it, especially on the Fusion University side. Is it going to be Who Are You? Is it going to be Zachary? Honestly, everyone's just had to pick him up since his rework because he is so incredibly strong. And this is one of the maps where he just synergizes so well with the Reinhardt, with the Zarya.
Also, I would say from the Second Wind end, where this is where Zaxel has hit his groove on Hanzo. I personally saw him just a month ago do really well in this map, playing Hanzo in this similar sort of situation. So if he's going to come out, maybe it's not so much as Farah, which can be good, but a Hanzo, which is harder for another team to check in the way that Zachary checked his Farah just a map ago.
All right, well, I think we are ready to head into our second map now. Nope, just kidding. I'm so sorry. I jumped the gun there a little bit.
Why would you think Teams Online would
Listen,
ever...
I'm so excited to see more Overwatch, you guys. You don't understand.
So why would you think Teams Online would ever be ready? This is where they're probably talking to the admins being like, yeah, this guy just went to the bathroom. This guy just dropped his keyboard. This guy, I don't even know.
Blow outside? That was actually one of the... Which tournament was that? Where someone's transformer blew up like in the middle of a tournament.
Are you serious?
I don't remember.
Oh my goodness.
This was fairly recent too, in like the last year, but
I'm just impressed if the transformer can blow and you can come back online and play.
I'm gonna quote,
as long as their spark is maintained.
I'm gonna quote a good friend of mine in Hexagrams, where one of the things he would always say in the old online tournaments is, get these bums into lobby. And the reason is that the players are just chronically late to everything, unless you can just physically hold them to their chairs and be like, no, we have security on both sides of the stage. You can't go to the bathroom.
It's esports time, by the way. But yeah, there's like some crazy scenarios where I've seen people just like run out of booth and like completely dodge like the people that are checking the doors before. This is King's Row. This is going to be a great map because this is historically been the playground, the testing ground, the sandbox of Overwatch where teams try out these compositions. And so like anything can go here. We might see maybe the GOAT composition coming out with the 303. We'll see. This is really going to be telling of, like, you know, the characteristics of the team moving forward for the rest of the season and how they want to play a lot of these maps, depending upon what they play here.
Well, I mean, in particular, it'll be curious to see how Fusion University is going to split up their DPS, right, in regards to what Who Are You is playing, what Zachary is playing. Going in, I would expect to see Who Are You, if they are going to be running a Hanzo, to be playing that. But there's multiple ways it can actually pan out. But looks like the lobby might be ready.
All right, now we will throw over to some more Overwatch.
King's Row, dark and dreary, just the way I like it. Why is that the case? Who knows?
I'm surprised there aren't people just riding out in the middle of King's Row right now, because, you know, England, Colombia, hey, World Cup. England actually getting their first penalty victory ever. Like, congratulations.
I thought you were going to say first penalty ever, and I was going to say people flopped on them way before today.
Colombia got like no penalties. What are you talking about? But yeah, here we go. Fusion University. They're going to be on the defense, and they're running a composition. You know, that's kind of seen here. Generally, instead of like the Diva, maybe you'll see like a Roadhog because of the hook halt combination. While Second Wind, they're going to go for the double sniper composition.
And this is also interesting where we were hyping up Zaxel, but Zaxel has been subbed out for Wub, so no Zaxel in play here whatsoever. Instead, it's going to be Shadows on the Widowmaker. Wub going to the Genji, and Fusion University holding back with this Junkrat-fueled defense.
Yeah, they have the high ground here. The tools are there on the side of Second Wind to try and dismantle it, but it is very difficult. So they're going to go ahead and use, of course, their cooldowns just to get onto the high ground. And once they reset, never mind, they take the low because Zachary's on the other end with that Widowmaker. But it's Alarm that starts it off. Alarm
immediately getting flubby. A little bit of salty run back from last map. But this is the power of a Zenyatta. You see with teams like NYXL and Jonak, where you get the early pickoff, some of the other teams dealing with the 6-on-5, and their options for hard engaging into this limited. And you see the desperation as Janitor goes up, gets immediately crushed by Who Are You, and this is going to lead to a full reset where Fusion holds pretty easy.
That was about a minute spent on the side of Second Wind, and really all they were able to do is just charge up the ultimates for Shadows and Suppose, and that's not the first ultimates you really want to come online. So now things are changing up. Second Wind, they're going to go with Reinhardt Ginger swapping over now. So it looks like they just want to try and control the point here, because it's only D.Va really on the side of Fusion University that can try and rotate onto the point to contest it. It's going to force Fusion University to come down.
And Fusion University, they're going to focus on Ginger here. He already went down the half HP early on, was able to get healed back up. Shadows looking for pickoffs, not really getting a whole lot of anything, staring right down the goal and having a reset shield. As who are you? Just lobs one in, says goodbye. Now Zachary's down on the other side. It is an even 5v5, and they force out the Transcend. Second Wind, gonna get a tick on the point, and here comes Wub, Dragon Blade out, moving on forward, alarm in his sights, a little bit of deflection, and cutting through on the top. Second Wind is actually starting to fight their way through.
You know, I discounted Mercy with her ultimate, but I forgot that, you know, once she does have her Valkyrie, she is, of course, a true Valkyrie. She is just a warrior angel there, was able to take out Zachary, get rid of the Widowmaker in the beginning, and then he came in for a second kill later on, just completely opening up the point for his team there. So, Suppose MVP of point A here on Kings Row for Second Wind.
Second Wind getting to move on forward here. Now you look towards the street stage. Fusion University coming out with a few change-ups of their own. Beast Halo to the Rhine, Bernard to the Zarya. But it's going to be a while until they're actually charged up, so there's a window for Second Wind.
But Fusion University, they can kind of negate a lot of this timing. Never mind, as Beast Halo just takes a fire strike to the face.
Big opportunity now for Second Wind, where Beast Halo's down. He wasn't in a resible position. And who are you? He's going to try and buy time here. The Riptire coming out, but it's immediately taken down by Shadows. Got it before it could even hit the road. And Second Wind diving on in, gonna force the Valkyrie out of Fusion University really early here. Zachary struggling for a pickoff, but while this goes on, the payload continues to get pushed by 4 people.
Second Wind, they've got almost 4 ultimates in their back pocket here as Zachary gets chased down by Wubs. He will be able to grapple away. As Ginger now sitting on top of the payload. He's got 800 HP left on that shield. He's got to be careful. He's trying to find a shatter, but now he goes for it, but it's blocked. Never mind, catches Bernard, but there's no follow-up on that.
Elk saves Bernard, at least for a decent amount of time. It's not enough in the end, and Second Wind off those 2 pickoffs. They deal with Elk, who is committing, and here comes Wub once more, brings out the blade. It's all clean up from here. That's not a sword, that's a broom. Stole it from Janitor, really, as Second Wind is going to pretty easily move forward and get second point.
Just go ahead and sweep point A and point B under the rug there, because Second Wind had no problem whatsoever now as they move on to point C with 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Shadow already with the advanced push, taking out Alarm, forcing out that resurrection from Elk now. We'll see. Who Are You has now swapped off to take the Genji versus Genji battle up against Wub.
At some point as a player, just like, I can play this hero better than they can. However, Second Wind, gonna get the wind knocked out of them. Beast Halo drops a shatter, might not have needed to, but the Suppose out of it, it gives Fusion University the ability to be a little bit more aggressive. Move on forward. Second Wind, though, they're gonna start trying to fight their way back. They know the Earth Shatter isn't a threat anymore. And you look to Fusion University, you have to look towards Bernard. Has the Graviton Surge at the ready. Both teams playing footsie, but Bernard's just gonna be saying, you know what, why don't you guys love your neighbor just a little bit more? Going over, drops a Graviton on the cards and picks up 2. That's gonna be enough. Fusion holds.
Yeah, 70 charge, 70 energy. Bernard is able to melt through them with that Zarya, and so they're gonna force back Second Wind. 3 minutes and 5 seconds left on the clock now as Wub swaps off onto the Hanzo. It's wholesale changes almost, as Janitor himself will go over to Zarya now, so they are going to go for that Space Dragon combo. I'm surprised that they didn't just try to hold on for maybe another 20-30 seconds, one more fight, because he was getting close to a Dragon Blade now. And so it's going to be Who Are You who has the ultimate advantage. But this is Hanzo. Who am I kidding here? With the Storm Arrows, you can easily build that up.
I mean, Hanzo's an X Factor, right? Where it doesn't matter what the ult situation is, you can get an early pickup. But speaking of early pickups, Shadows gets Zachary early on, and that's going to force adjustment at Fusion University. Alarm immediately transcends to cover the resurrection. Who Are You? Real close to building the blade. The Earth Shadows drop, knocks down 1, and Who Are You? Is it time? Holds on to the blade, didn't like what he saw, ends up looping around as Shadows picks up people on the other side. Who Are You's put himself in a real sticky wicket on the other end, but he's gonna pull out the blade directly into a Transcend. He might want that one back.
but you can't transcend a damage-boosted headshot coming out from Zachary, taking out Shadows. So this does delay the momentum of second wind. They back away because they're down to one sniper now, and that's just Wub, who hasn't been able to get as much done with this Hanzo quite yet. He is sitting at 77% towards his Dragon Strike, but it's Janitor who's already got that Graviton Surge. So now he's just waiting for the combo.
Well, more than anything else there too, they lose their tank early on. They were trying to set up for Janitor, but instead it's going to be a full wipe. Fusion University gets to reset fully, and it's going to be a battle of two Gravitons heading into the final mid-38.
But a stronger combo, of course, in favor of second wind here. All they have to really do, you know, is damage boost Wub. It's going to out-damage the Transcendence if Fusion University are able to get it up. But here we go. Graviton Surge comes out. There's the Space Dragon. Picks off two. That's both tanks gone. And now they charge forward.
It was a big meal for Wub, but the hits keep on coming. Second wind off of that Graviton combo. Now they look to spawn suppression, where they keep 5 people on the payload, but watch in a moment as they try and prevent Fusion University from getting a good setup. Meanwhile, Fusion University, they're all going to be coming up the left door from their side. Bernard, Graviton Surge, loaded, 20 HP, has to drop it under pressure, and that means the follow-up isn't there immediately. Who Are You has to dive in before alarm is even ready. But with the resurrection back up, Fusion University is crawling their way through. Bernard still somehow alive, but no, he's going to fall, and they're not able to stay on the payload. Second wind, able to push it through in the end.
Luckily for Fusion University's side, it was just sub 1 minute. And so that means if they finish off the map with whatever time, they will get that extra time. So Fusion University, they have a lot of windows open to them at this point. We'll see. Maybe their offense is going to be a little bit better than their defense, especially moving through phases A and B here on Kings Row.
And look, in terms of micro-level plays, this is something that can't be understated. Fusion University wasn't quite ready for that Graviton there, where I think they wanted to wait a little bit longer to set up. The reason why Bernard ended up throwing it out is that he looked at himself, he said, oh, I've got myself way too low here in the moment, and if I die without using the Graviton, it's going to be really bad. So instead of getting that decisive team-wiping Graviton that Fusion University probably could have set up, because of the pressure applied to Bernard, it didn't happen. The fight ended up being a lot more chaotic, and chaotic so much that Fusion University couldn't keep anyone on the point at the very end.
Yeah, when you're dropped down to 20 HP, your Genji's only at about 60% charge towards his Dragon Blade, you kind of just got to figure, do I try to hold on to this ultimate until the next map or what? So I don't fault him for actually throwing that out. Bernard has actually been doing a really great job throughout this entire series so far, and now some interesting looks coming up from Fusion University as on their offense they might be going for a triple tank composition or a quad tank.
You know, you ask, who are you? The fabled question, who are you? And he's like, I'm a pig. I identify with bacon. Who are you? Flexing the might of his hero pool, where he's not going to be going to projectile DPS here just yet. Looking at going with Roadhog. And of course, it's notable because you take a look at it, and what is it to quote, or no, they're not going quad tank. They were thinking about it.
Yeah.
But they still might be going triple tank, which is still pretty beefy, and it's going to be Zachary heading up the rear.
Yeah, and Who Are You, of course, flexing off onto that Roadhog is just going to supplement the damage that they do have. With the Reinhardt, with the D.Va here, they're going to be able to mitigate a lot of the damage. Second wind, it's going to be difficult for them to try and find someone to kill here, especially when Zachary starts it off, taking out Shadows.
Yeah, and that's all you need, right? Fusion University immediately sets up the 6v5, and what do? They saunter onto the point like they own it, because, quite frankly, they do. Second wind, already in a boatload of trouble here. Zachary working the outskirts, already 2 ticks going to Fusion University, and Zachary takes down his counterpart, and why not? Make it a triple. It's going to be easy goings here for Fusion University as they just slide through that first point.
And that's just the strength of the Storm Arrow was there. You saw off of one cast, he was able to pick up a double kill with it. It's not uncommon for a Hanzo to pick up a quad kill or even a pentakill just using that one ability. It is wholeheartedly I would say like a mini ultimate in its own ability, and now he's already sitting at 80%, so he can just throw these out willy-nilly because he's not looking for a combo. He could just use it to zone anything, split up the team.
Zachary was awfully close to picking up another, but Dragon is up. He's going to wait till Second Wind commits into this alleyway. His team's going to be giving him information all the while, and now lets the Dragon go. Second Wind immediately has to regroup, but Beast Halo finds Ginger in the moment. However, he had to dive in so deep, that's a Reinhardt swap. Fusion University doesn't get as much as they'd want, and Shadows, even though he's under pressure, is able to disengage. So they disengage, they still have 5. And now Dragon's going back the other way, and it eats Zachary right up.
Zachary gets a little taste of his own Dragon there, as Wub answers right on back. Elk has already used his resurrection to bring Beast Halo back into this. Wub, though, with those Storm Arrows, not able to find anything. It's Bernard to finish him off with that Diva, but Shadows gets right back into this, answering on back. That's a 2-for-1 exchange now. It looks like Fusion University will have to back away.
Fusion University thought there was something there that might not have been. They overcommitted a little bit off that early Dragon, and things often just crumble when you lose your tank, as Shadows is saying, let me see. He's just helping him back to spawn. Elk is like, I need to run back, and Shadows goes, I got you.
There's a mech, there's a hog in the way. Somehow he's able to just thread that, get the Mercy kill. And so Elk, despite all of your heroics, gonna have to wait for them. As now they have been halted here on the second phase of King's Row. Beast Halo, he's got this Earth Shatter. Ginger doesn't have his quite yet, so he's making his intentions known as he charges forward.
Beast Halo's being really aggressive. It's very clear he's going for the Earth Shatter. He's gonna charge on in, hits the light post. There's no chill whatsoever. Bernard tried to support that with the self-destruct, and it's back, Second Wind back. However, it's Alarm being his own mini Widowmaker as Zen finds Shadows early on. Zachary laying in the damage over the top. Zoned back a bit by the self-destruct, unable to finish the Diva. You see Second Wind investing the Transcendence, and it's going to be a later Transcend by Fusion. As they keep the pressure moving forward, Ginger's going to get hooked in and fall, and this Dragon might be it for Fusion.
Dragon, fighting dragons left and right being fired between both teams, but it's going to be Zachary who comes up with the kill onto Janitor, and so that's going to open the way for Fusion University to move on to the second point. 4 minutes and 40 seconds. A little bit faster than Second Wind, and now we're seeing some changes coming out as Shadows will be swapping off onto Brigitte.
Brigitte suddenly in play. I was expecting to see Brigitte a little bit earlier here, but now in going in full tradition with a more tankier in-your-face comp, they run the Brigitte. And Second Wind, they're not going to have any chill in this defense whatsoever. They immediately open up with the Valkyrie. Shadows just whips it over the Beast Halo. Both Renzo are down, and Zachary going to make some room with this Dragon. It's going back the other way, and Fusion University do not care that there's a Brigitte in play right now.
Ultimate plus mini ult in the Storm Arrows. It's just Ult Apocalypse coming out from Zachary himself. He's a one-man Ult Apocalypse. Oh wait, that's Who Are You on the Roadhog. Although he hasn't really been able to do much, but he does help pressure Ginger, as Shadows is kind of serving that role on the opposite end, right, with the Brigitte. That's how they were able to get the kill initially, but now already 3 minutes 47, they're on the final stretch here.
Ginger's super low, he has to get Transcended, and he does. Flubby's right there, a Dragon coming out for good measure, but Wub ends up getting picked off. A little bit too aggressive, wasn't with his team, and it's Alarm with the counter Transcendence that lets Fusion move on over. Bernard gets hooked off and into the abyss. But this is actually looking like Second Wind might be able to pull this back. It's a bit of a brawl on the point. Zachary's looking for something else. Deals with the emergency Doomfist, but there's a spawn edge right now, the Second Wind, and Fusion University, they're still going for it.
They almost got the Mercy. The headshot landed by Zachary, but they just didn't have quite the follow-up. He was able to Guardian Angel away to safety. Janitor now on this Roadhog finds a second hook kill, taking out Who Are You, and now Fusion University might consider having to reset here. As never mind, they're not able to. Wub just bringing them back into the middle of the fray with that Doomfist. So the swap off working out for them.
Look, man, Janitor is using that hook for waste disposal right now. Your favorite waste incineration unit just right underneath King's Row. And that was enough for Second Wind. It was on the wire, but they buy themselves very valuable time. And Fusion University fairly drained after that, but hey, Alarm's built another Transcendence, why not?
And take a look at the swap off coming up from Who Are You. So he's going over to the far now, which isn't unheard of, especially here on the Foundry portion of King's Row, but Shadows. 2 kills, Zachary and Who Are You gone. Fusion University trying their best to back away, but they are gonna get staggered. Another great hook. Will the Diva be able to make it away? Bernard just falls to his death.
Look, man, I just heard the old school, like, 1920s animation, like, screeching noise, and then immediately backing up right there. And that's what has to happen when you lose 2 people in the very beginning. Shadows won that fight cleanly for Second Wind.
Now, who can really try and challenge him? So who are you? He's going to swap instead of going for that Pharah. He's going to go for the counter pick against Shadows now, going into that Genji. But he's not going to have the same support that he's used to playing that Genji. Now it's going to be up to Zachary to try and really lay down the pressure. Earthshatter completely whiffed here as Fusion University just kite back away from it.
And think about what that does to psychology. Now Fusion University, they don't have to worry about the Earthshatter. They fully deal with it without any form of resources engaged, and they're going to start moving back the other way. They use the Dragon to make space. They focus Ginger and take him down. Now with the Reinhardt down, there's not going to be a resin play. Zachary has done his job, and Noryu's going to get down and dirty into the back line as Fusion University has plenty of room to work with here.
Oh, Meteor Strike
from above! Now suddenly it's more of a game, but it's still an edge to Fusion.
Yeah, they're still swinging it back in their favor because the Hanzo's alive. If the Hanzo's still on the field, it's kind of like what Tracer used to do for the last year. Able to swing it back in their favor. Storm Arrows come out, takes out Shadows now, and so Fusion University, they've got complete control of the high ground. One tries to go in with that seismic slam, but Bernard instantly burns him down with the boosters. Earthshatter is used, but it does not connect with anyone. Beast Halo has to be careful, keeps his shield on up, goes in for the charge. Here's another Dragon Strike, as Zachary will be able to zone them all out. Who Are You is finishing them all off, and it looks like Fusion University might have just done it.
Well, they're close, but Shadow's got Beast Halo on the other side. There's still people on the point, but with Zachary cleaning up, Who Are You rotating to the back. This looks like it's going to be well and it. 27 seconds left on the clock for Fusion University, and as a result, Second Wind actually setting a quicker time, but given how extra rounds tend to work, it's not really going to amount to too much in the end. 18 seconds sometimes isn't even the amount of an extra push. So essentially, we are reset with 1 minute left on the clock.
Honestly, in these extra round situations, I love attacking first, right? Because that's where you get to set the standard where somehow in that 1 minute, you push the entire map. And then that's where the enemy teams is completely scrambling. Like, what do we do? We've already lost this, right? You can completely change just the motivation, just how the rest of the team plays. And so we'll see. Fusion University, are they going to change anything up? We saw that they started off on their first initial offense on point A by going with the triple tank composition. Zachary was able to open it up with the Hanzo himself.
I would say the biggest problem that Fusion had in the last attack, when you take a look at how that went, is that they weren't able to pressure Shadows anywhere near as effectively. And also, when Zachary would get pickoffs, they weren't in a position to make the most out of it. So they kept getting stuck in these fights where Shadows would pick someone, Zachary would pick someone. And when you get down to these 3-on-3, 4-on-4 fights with the defense in the final point of King's Row, it's very difficult to actually convert that into a full take. And that's why we saw Fusion just struggle over the last 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah, right now, again, this is basically a similar story to the regular season of Contenders Season 1, where, like, it takes a while for Who Are You to really get going, and it's been Zachary that's been the staple DPS for them, while Who Are You slowly wakes up. We'll see if he wakes up for this point there at Hotel as they go in. Speed boost by Suppose will allow Second Wind to just jump onto Fusion University here. They survive that push, though.
And Fusion University, they back out. They're wounded. They're not out of it yet. Beast Halo, though, unable to get out of the danger zone there. And Fusion University now just going to back on out as much as they can. Who Are You, though, can't get away. That's a lot of ultimate being fed directly to Second Wind. Only 20 seconds left for Fusion.
20 seconds left, and they're not running a really fast composition. It's triple tank. Who Are You is now going to go ahead and swap off as Zachary goes over to the Mei. So the Mei with the wall can split up this tank-heavy composition in Second Wind here. They are going that 3-0-3 route, but there we go. The Pharah in the air. So Who Are You needs to find anything.
He's looking for it. The wall's trying to set him up, splashing in from above, unable to finish it, but the damage is still enough. Bernard's going to slide on in there. Zachary freezing them out towards the very end, and Second Wind, they're not going to hold this here just yet. And buckle your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. Not only are we in overtime, this could be going for a while. Where this payload stops, nobody knows.
The scary thing about this for Second Wind is that you need to hit critical mass. That's what this 3-0-3 composition really does, right? The GOAT comp does, where you have all of your tank ultimates and you use them in conjunction. You just win this big old team fight, and that's what Second Wind was really banking off. Right now, though, Shadows is a little bit behind. He's only at 74%. Will have his Graviton in the future, as they've already rallied and they're going on in.
They went in so aggressively here, but they're going to transcend. They invest everything. The barrier's in, the transcend is in. They layer both support ultimates, trying to catch Fusion off guard, because, of course, if they're off the payload payload for a moment. That's going to be it. Second win, a little bit ahead, but they're also right by the offensive spawn. Who are you? Makes it rain, takes down one, and all Fusion has to do is buy time. Zachary's on the point as May. They just need to wait a little bit more. They've lost 3, and I don't know if they're going to last enough for respawn. Zachary falls, and that's it. Second Wind with a surprise strike stops the payload pretty much right at the garage.
And that was scary because Beast Halo had started off that fight when Second Wind came in with an Earth Shatter and connected on a few. They just weren't able to follow up. They had, of course, the Rally and the Transcendence, a lot of their ultimates up to try to maintain through that fight. And it just came down to a matter of seconds there, right? Zachary, if he had just gotten that Blizzard sooner, it could have been a completely different story.
See, what I'm not really getting here is that if Second Wind is able to win this map, is it really something that's indicative of Second Wind playing really well, or is it that Fusion University is invoking their Map 5 curse again?
I don't know if it's a curse or if it's just the law of Fusion University, because they've explained to us, right, why there is kind of like a drop-off in performance for Who Are You, and then like it was kind of like the similar case for like XL2, right? When you have these Korean players, they're playing on from Korea, there is a lot of substantial lag, and that does make it a huge difference in their performance.
Well, one thing we should clarify, I know NYXL was able to get Flower and Nene in the States. I don't know if Fusion University was able to get Who Are You in here just yet, so that may be a factor, it might not be. That's something we should definitely ask the team after. But Second Wind, going to the attack right now, where they have to get to the payload, not very far, so we'll see what they can do on this first attack.
Yeah, so they're gonna go for mostly dive. They've got the Genji and Wub, and he was able to make a lot of work happen. I mean, he got the blades up pretty quickly, but it's going to be up to Shadows here to try and shut down Zachary. We'll see how the Widow versus Widow duels take place.
Well, last time Shadows had a real tough time even getting on Zachary, who was pretty safe behind the Orisa shield most of the time. Alarm takes down his counterpart again, the second time in a row to start out King's Row. Shadows unable to get in on the other side, but Second One was able to cover the res. They get a tick for free. Fusion University being pretty laid back right now. However, now that they've taken down Ginger, who was pretty aggressive, Who Are You ends up dying for it. It's Zachary now that's on the flank, gets rid of one on the other side, and Wub, while he's under pressure here, not gonna be enough. Zachary just unchecked from the other side.
Oh, and they weren't even able to secure that second tick there. Take a look at how close it was. Just 0.2, or excuse me, 2% away from actually securing that, but now they got to retake that now. 10 seconds left, 4-second win here, and they don't have really any ultimates here. Maybe Wub can get that Dragon Blade in time. He's only 25% away now, but he has to get into the thick of things, into Who Are You's face to try and shut him down.
Second Wind has to touch a point here. They can't have that luxury of waiting for ultimates, even though they would like to have that be the case. Wub at 85%, low, but able to back out as Zachary takes down Suppose immediately. No more resurrections available. Janitor under assault, and Wub in the indoor area, pulls out the blade, takes down 3. It might be enough. Who Are You? Is trying to bring it back, of course, but he died. That was the total mayhem that got Wub on the other end. And overtime now in progress. Second Wind doesn't have to bring this very far. It's Fusion University that's very much in the hot seat. Can Who Are You have a miracle tire?
The most difficult thing for Fusion University here is that the fact that Bernard got the late spawn, so he's coming all the way from the end of the map. And so for the Reinhardt to try and step forward without that D.Va defense matrix is almost impossible. They have the trance on in. Zachary starts it off. Suppose is gone. Zachary in the power seat now is Who Are You? Picks off Shadows and gets that D-Mac with the help of Beast Halo. Finishes off Janitor, and with that, Fusion University are just cleaning up the members of Second Wind, and that will be the second map. Fusion University taking the 2-0 lead.
And the key there was the tire, right? Where the one thing that needed to not happen for them was getting hit by the tire, especially to the tune of 2 members, because don't forget, that was right by the offensive spawn. They didn't need to win that fight immediately. They just needed to not lose as badly as they did.
Guys, I don't know about you, but I'm officially rooting for the underdog right now. It seems like the newcomers are really holding their own against these Season 1 winners, but like there were some amazing plays in there from Second Wind, if you don't mind me saying that.
Yeah, I mean, we had the swap offer. We had the changes coming in where we lost Zaxel and Wub came in. It was kind of like an unknown factor, but his Genji was pretty solid throughout. He was building up his blades, relatively fast, and in that last fight, he almost swung it in their favor, and then it just kind of like went all over the place. It was nuts to see.
Yeah, Wub had a very good showing, and look, this is also a testament to how these teams can change real quick, where Zaxel, of course, was the hero of second win previously, suddenly gets benched in favor of Wub, and Wub dashes on in here, gets several key dash resets, moves on forward, and comes very close to handing second win King's Row, where even though the box score right now is Fusion University 2-0 as expected, there were some highlights here from Second Wind.
Yeah, I think that seeing Second Wind push from point A to point B in their first round was really impressive. They seemed like they were really on a roll there. They got all the way to the end, which I wasn't expecting, and I'm pretty proud of their play so far. Do you think that we can see this momentum going forward, going into our next 2 games after the break?
We'll see. I mean, I would say that from the Fusion University side, there's still players that need to fully wake up. I would say Who Are You does have that entire slow starter phenomenon where it's just like, wait, are you actually invested in this game right now? And he's a player that could definitely play a lot better than he's been playing so far. But look, I mean, we don't really know too much about Second Wind in their current incarnation. I'm excited to see what they have to show us as we move on into map 3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically learning about Second Wind as we see these games happen, because I didn't really get to see the Trials matches or a lot of their open division play, but a lot of them are stepping up, as particularly you had mentioned Janitor was also just kind of cleaning up a lot of these fights, especially when he was on that Zarya. There was a point where they had swapped off onto the Hanzo-Zarya combination, and generally it's the Hanzo who built up the Dragon Strike first, but it was Zaxel, or excuse me, not Zaxel, it was Janitor who had it about 30% before that Hanzo. So it's mechanically, these players are sound. We just need to see them bring it all together and be a bit more cohesive unit.
Right, we can't move on without bringing note to Zachary's performance and how amazing he was playing in this game.
Zachary, his Widowmaker, has been sort of a constant rocky training montage, and bit by bit, relative to his days on Renegades, he's improved it as a key hero, and he held his own here today. I'd also note that Shadows had pretty good back and forth with him at points, but for a player that's trying to be as well-rounded as possible, we kind of see Zachary on his path to pro, and I'm curious to see where his Widow goes on forward. Certainly, he was able to shut down Zaxel quite a bit here today.
And I think that I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more from Zachary and from Fusion University. And like you said, we are learning about Second Wind as we are watching these games. So this is something totally new. As you were saying, it's the path to pro. It's a chance for these players to prove themselves, to show what they have. And we will see a lot more of that after we come back from a quick break.